Hi, have you been thinking about mountain biking but don't want to spend a fortune on a bike? Do you want to find a bike that will allow you to experience what mountain biking actually feels like and allow you to do the trails and still not want to be broke at the end of the day? Well, I think I might have found a bike for you. And this bike comes from Bikes Online, which is an online retailer. I was willing to try an online retailer because one of my first jobs was in online retailing. One of the things I realized about online marketing is because they didn't have to purchase the floor space, they were able to invest more money in their product offerings. That's what I was hoping was going to happen with this product from Bikes Online. I think they might have done it. One of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to recognize the person who first turned me on to even looking at Bikes Online. And it was an online woman blogger. She was blogging about women's mountain bikes. And she brought up one of the mountain bikes from Bikes Online, which was another Polygon. So I was looking for her blog post again, and I couldn't find it. So I'm really bummed because if it wasn't for her, I would never have known about these bikes. So let's take a look at this bike and see if it's something that might work for you. I got the Polygon Cascade 4. If you're going to talk affordability, this bike has it. Right now through Christmas, they are having this super sale on the bike, pricing them under $350, if you can believe that. I thought I got a steal at $450. So right now, if you're interested, this is a great time. There is a shipping fee of $49. The bike does come partially assembled. So there's going to be part of it that you're still going to have put together. I think you can do it. If you're at all mechanically inclined, you can do it. Now, I found out that I'm not mechanically inclined, yet my husband is. And my husband was able to put it together in under a half hour without using the directions. So let's look at the components on this bike and look at why this is the perfect beginner's bike. So, first off, it has dual hydraulic disc brakes. Hydraulic disc brakes, better stopping on all surface other than just flat out dry pavement. And on that surface, they stop in the same distance as mechanical brakes. The other thing that this bike has is it has a fork with a 100 millimeter traveling suspension, which makes that front end really smooth and easy to maneuver. Now, the back end doesn't have a suspension, so they call it a hardtail. For a beginner, that's like the perfect bike. And why that's perfect for beginners is because the hardtail helps you find your balance on the bike. Whereas if you got a suspension, it takes care of a lot of your balance for you. What that means is if you don't get your balance, as you get into harder trails, you're not going to be able to ride them. And as I'm riding through this, I'll tell you some of the experiences that I had where that hardtail really did encourage me to find my balance. And the other thing that this bike has is it has double-walled alloy rims. And what that means is those rims are the strongest rims you can get and the least likely to bend. So those four components make this the perfect beginner's mountain bike. Nice, but how does it ride? I tried this mountain bike in 3 different terrains. I tried it on mountain bike trails, I tried it on roads, and then I just tried it as, how about a beach cruiser ride around in a short distance bike? Since this is a mountain bike, let's look at the mountain trails first. The very first day that I rode this, and probably the 9th time I've ridden a mountain bike in 10 years, this was the hill that I ran into only 100 yards out. So when I say this bike encourages you to find your balance, it really did. It allowed me to sit at the top of that hill and think for a minute, and I realized I needed to drop the seat down to lower my center of gravity. I also really learned that I like those disc brakes because I was able to ride those disc brakes all the way down on my first time down that. And the other thing that I really liked is that it showed me that when I was braking, that I was weighting my body too far to the right. And so the back end would kind of slip to the left, and it really helped me correct my balance. There's one thing that I think this bike does really, really well, and that's ride up hills. This bike probably rides uphill better than it rides on the flat. And not just riding uphill, it also crawls up rocks really, really well. You're probably wondering, how does she know that? Well, if you're a beginning mountain biker, there's something that you can be really good at, and that is picking the wrong trail over and over and over again. So I was constantly picking these trails that were going just uphill for miles. And like I said, I am way out of shape, and I could actually ride these trails. I mean, it was exhausting, but I could do that. And that's because of this bike. It just does hills really well. And that front suspension, that gives a lot of confidence. So when you turn around and you have to go down this long hill, you don't freak out because that front suspension keeps the front end really smooth, and those disc brakes give you a lot of confidence because they really do stop this bike.
Thanks.
There's another thing that can cause a problem when you're
Hi.
riding uphill and downhill, and that's going to be your gear shifting. This bike, its gear shifting's pretty flawless. It didn't get hung up. It shifts pretty good. For being an affordable bike, it was really amazing. The gear shifting didn't cause a problem when I was riding. Going back to that hardtail, it really helped me pick the trail that I could ride. It gives you a lot of feedback, so it's kind of rough in the back end because of all the feedback. The front end's really nice and smooth, giving you confidence, but you really stay focused on that back end, and that really encourages you to really think through your balance. So it kept me on trails that I could handle, and by doing that, it gave me more confidence, and I was able to get better and better and better. For a beginner's mountain bike, I think this one was designed really, really well. It allows you to experience the trails at an affordable price point while babysitting you through your whole experience so that you get better and better at mountain biking. I've tried it on the trails, so how does it do on roads? Safety first, and the traffic was a little bit crazy, so I stayed on the sidewalks, and the sidewalks are nice and big, and nobody's walking on them. The first thing that I noticed is that it feels like there's not a lot of friction when the wheels are turning. And then as you continue to go on, what you start to feel is that the tires are a little bit too wide and that they kind of are draggy. So the ride starts to feel a little bit draggy. And then there's the saddle seat on that bike. So this is a woman's bike, so that saddle seat is actually made for women. When I'm mountain biking, I don't have a problem. That saddle seat doesn't bother me at all. But doing this road biking where you're constantly on that seat, you're never getting off of it. I only did 10 miles. By the end of that 10 miles, my legs were numb. The ergonomics were set up for mountain biking, and it wasn't set up for road biking. So my hands were sore, my shoulders were sore, everything was sore. So for road biking, yeah, this one's not going to do it. And that's okay, right? Because it wasn't made for that. The last thing I thought I'd do was try it as just a cruiser where I'm just going to go a short distance. And for that, it works really, really well. The tires, they don't have a lot of friction. Being that I'm not going a long distance, that poofy tire The drag, it's not a big deal. It rolls really nicely. I don't have to worry about the ergonomics because I'm not going very far. So really a comfortable bike just to kind of cruise around. At the end of the day, this bike was designed really, really well for a beginner mountain biker, and it has some flexibility to be used as just kind of a cruiser. You know what I really liked about this bike is it gave me the opportunity to be in nature more. The radius of what I could explore increased dramatically. Here's the deal. I actually really love this bike. I have so much fun on this bike when I get on it. So I'm thinking I would really recommend if you're a beginner, you want a beginner's bike that will help you become a better rider at an affordable price. This is it. Okay, guys, until next time, I'll catch you on the other side.
Thanks. Good morning.